Welcome to another episode here at Lightingbot. Today we have Arthor Yang from Cloud Imperium Games joining us. Just a friendly reminder for everyone, stop by lightingbot.com if you're curious about the community. You can join the Discord. We have different things we try and do. It's pretty hard, but we try and do it. We do portfolio review, we do lighting show and community highlights, we do Unreal tutorials, and we do Unity tutorials. We try and do a couple of things, but we also do these interviews. So we are lucky enough to have some of Arthor Yang's attention today, and we have him at least for an hour, and we're going to dig through a little bit about realistic lighting and how he approaches this type of realistic lighting. So today we're going to have an opportunity to see some breakdowns inside Unreal, some of his hidden secret workflow. So we're quite lucky today. So let us please welcome Arthor to this conversation. Welcome, Arthor.
Hello, hi. My name is Arthur. Nice to thank you for introducing me to this group. Yeah, thank
No
you for
problem.
having me. Yeah.
Thank you for being here. So, Arthur, let's start with the basic for now. Let's learn a little bit about your journey and your education, where you worked, and kind of how you ended up being a lighting artist.
Okay. Yeah. I come from China, so in my university I was starting. My major was starting animation. Like animation is not the animation that we thinking about. It's a more like more widely ranged. Like we do traditional animation, we do Flash, if you still remember Flash. We do 3D arts as well. Yeah, so we do a lot of things. And after I graduated, I start my career with a local animation, like local cartoon company. I was working on the lighting and compositing artist. Uh, and a year later, I decided to leave that company and join the game industry. EA Shanghai, that's my first uh, game company. So I've been working there for 10 years. At the first 7 years, I was working as an environment artist, also including environment lead as well at the later stage. And then there's a very very good opportunity came to me as a member of the lighting team. So we had the lighting team back then. So I was honored to join the team, and lighting is all the things. Lighting is the things that I wanted to do all the time. So I was pretty happy to join the team. So during that team, I was working on a lot of titles like uh, FIFA and Star Wars, Mass Effect, or even Need for Speed. I was basically working on stadium lighting when I was working on the FIFA and Madden. And then I was also working on the cinematic lighting uh, for some games like Need for Speed. They can be like runtime rendering or just offline rendering. So they're pretty different. Then after that, I was honored to join the team of Cloud Imperium Games, which I'm working on right now. So my main domain is working on the environment lighting, uh, which is level lighting. So uh, yeah, you have to like concentrate on the mood, but also need to pay attention to the gameplay, the character lighting, the main path, and all these kind of details.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, for someone who doesn't know the role of a lighting artist or a senior lighting artist, assume that I have zero knowledge. How would you explain your role to someone who doesn't know what it is about? You kind of started doing it, but if you were to go in more depth, how would you explain your role currently to someone who doesn't have any clue what you're talking about?
Okay. So yeah. So Lighting artist is quite different from environment artist or any other artist. So what we do is we're gonna take over a scene or a level. The scene could be in the face of gray box or even white box, or even it's at the very late stage, which is a lot of things has been completed, like geometry, the layout, textures, shaders. They can be ready or not ready. So what you need to do is to um, simply speaking, you can add some lighting inside, put some lights inside, and if it's a very early stage, like in white box, you can just simply put some lights in there and give it some colors, give it some directions, just give it a little bit mood there, not so you know not so boring. But if it's the late stage of the environment, you all you need to do is to fine tweak all your lights in there, and need to think about how you should put those lights. uh, yeah, but it's not only putting the lights. This is very like the simplest saying of the lighting artist. What you also need to pay attention to is, for example, if you have a outdoor lighting, you need to think about the key light from the sun. Which direction should I just cast the sunlight in your scene or in your indoor environment? Uh, Also you need to make sure how to balance the direct lighting and indirect lighting, everything like that. Yeah, it could be really really detailed, but main thing is we're just basic focus on the mood. um, yeah, how to bring this environment into life, and how to represent the beauty of the environment. You can't waste all the hard work from the environment artist. Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's a good idea to go a little bit into the topics we want to talk about, and the breakdowns, so we have more time later if we need to explore more questions. So I think, should we share your screen? I have it hidden behind there. So is there anything specific you want to start explaining about your workflow and how you approach lighting?
Okay, I'll just start sharing my art station page.
So can you scroll up?
uh,
Can you scroll up on your art station? So that's
okay.
the name you guys want to search to add him to your art station follow list. So please do that as well to show him your support.
Thank you.
Normally people do that, and it pops up during the stream, which is kind of funny. Uh, all right. So you obviously have a couple of things. So what do you want to focus on?
Okay, so yeah, so what I want to do is to maybe walk through all my work, if you like. So yeah, basically, my art station is filled with my work in Star Citizen, and also some of them are my personal work. So in Star Citizen, I basically use Lumberyard, if you um,
Mhm.
know anything about it. Yeah, so these are the works with the Star Citizen. These are the work from that, so you can take a look. And these are the works that I've done in Unreal Engine. I think this is a really nice tool for me to use, for everybody to use. Uh, it's very easy to use, and the visual effect and the functions are all there, so you can do anything you like. Yeah, so what I try to focus on today is this thing. It's not a very pretty fancy stuff, just very basic um, daytime lighting. Just having a little bit walkthrough. Yeah. So as you see, this is a dusk uh, environment. outdoor environment. So what I'm going to show is I'm actually having this scene here in the editor.
Okay, that's cool.
Just give you a little bit idea of how this scene is looking like. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So basically, my workflow is first of course, it's searching for reference. I'll start with that. Let me. Uh, so this is my reference board. Actually, this is uh, it has everything here. So I just gather all my reference here, whatever I feel like interested. I just put there. Yeah. So this is the section for this scene. So I just gather all the sunset kind of reference, the photos here. Uh, yeah. So
So how
this,
do you? So when you're doing references, do you? Because some people, uh, when they collect reference, they'll have like one that's for mood, one that's for the light props they want, and one that's kind of overall color palette. Do you have this mindset and approach, or do you have a different workflow when it comes to collecting referencing and organizing it?
well, it's actually the same here. So the first thing you need to do is to trust your guts and trust your taste and trying to just collect anything you like and put it here and maybe do some organization. Uh, Forgive my organization is pretty messy, but I think I should put it here because the warmer tones is something that I want to that I want to focus on. So you can consider that these these are my uh, main reference. So you can see that this is like a um, pretty warm scene. This is from Emmanuel Lubezki, which is one of my favorite DP all the time. I love his white lens and backlit, and he loves always love backlit, and his image is always like uh, include a lot of details in there, and the mood is very nice. Yeah, so after that, this is I can just use them as my main reference. As for these references, I was basically focusing on the sky. So, what kind of sky do I want to have in here? Like, what kind of um, gradient I can use across the sky, and how much blue, how much like warm tones in the sky, and do I have a very bright sun? Uh, yeah, something like that. And this is from one of my friends' photo, and I think that's a really good reference as well. And this is a very nice painting that I love. So this is telling you that how it's gonna be like if the sunlight hits the building. So yeah, and the depth and the layering of the painting is also something that I want. Yeah. So these are all the reference that I should gather.
Okay.
So yeah, so now we have a goal that we need to do a task thing. So the next thing is what I want to do is to do some research on the, for example, the first thing we need to do is to think about exposure and the light intensity and the angle of the sun. I'll start with the angle first. So I'm going to turn this off and maybe turn this on. So this is a work in progress scene. So I can just move my sunlight in there so it doesn't destroy all my baking here. So yeah. So the first thing is what I want to do is to confirm which direction the sun is coming from. So um, first thing you need to do, you need to make sure which shot you want to focus on. There has to be some point of interest or some camera angles you want to focus on. For me, this might be my focus because I think these structures are pretty nice to show. A lot of things that is going on, going inside, sticking out, a lot of pipes, and the wood and the silhouette here is pretty good as well. So I want to use that as my main focus point of interest. Another thing is maybe I should. I think this view is pretty nice as well. So composition wise, it's pretty nice. You got this dome around the frame, so it's pretty nicely framed the picture. So also there are still a lot of structures going on. So I think this is another view I want to focus. So after a lot of tweaking, so I think this angle is what I like most because the sunlight is coming from that direction, so it can cast a shadow on these structures, on these buildings, and because this structure is sticking out uh, pretty much like this, so you can cast a lot of shadow on here. And also you can take advantage of these little details like the balconies, like the wood here, like the um, inner area. These are all very nice little details. So you don't want to ruin all the details by, for example, by doing this. I was also thinking about maybe I should focus on this view, but it's not looking good. Like a lot of the shapes are under the shadow, and it's very hard to present the layering of the image.
So the two things you would advise people to do then, if I understand correctly, is
Yeah.
the direction of the light to create shape and form using shadow and light, but also
Yes,
the composition of the camera itself.
yes. I would say composition first. Like which shot triggers you most? Like if you move the camera and you're trying to find which angle you like, and suddenly you're finally find something. Okay, maybe that's the angle that I want because it can show a lot of details in there. And yeah, so so basically this is what I want. This is the direction that I want. You can just um, simply find a good angle. You can worry about the intensity later. You can just do that, or you can just set up the exposure value first, or whatever you like. But I just want to show you the most simple stuff, most things that you can just get your hands on first. Then you can worry about um, exposure and the other stuff. So that means we're going to talk about the physical value, which is the physical lighting. So there are some very good website for you to reference. I think a lot of people is using the wiki site as a reference. Like you can take a look at this list. For example, um, outdoor natural lighting, clear sky background, maybe it's around 15. Um, sunset and skyline maybe 12 to 14, but this is all based on the sunny 16 rule. I don't want to explain that rule right now because sometimes it's very confusing, but this list is very easy to use, so it can tell you if you want to do, for example, I want to do a sunset, maybe I should just use this number. Or at sunset, maybe just use 12. You can do your research. And the next thing you want to do is maybe um, take a look at the intensity of the sky, of the sun. So this is also some guide for you to start with your lighting. Um for the sunlight, if it's under the sun, it's always like this number is always um, this is always the number that you want to, if you want to expose in the sun, that's the number right there. But it depends on the angle, depends on um, the location. Maybe the numbers can differ, like it can be pretty different. I'll talk about that later. Another thing here, you can use this website. This very um, useful. It's by Joey Lance, and he's basically like putting everything together. Very nice breakdown for all the things that we use, like everything we need to know about the physical lighting. Like everything is well explained, and most importantly, like the value of the sunlight or and the skylight. So this is something that you may wanna take a look at. Also the RGB value and the color temperature uh, of the sun or sky that you can take a look at, and exposure value, of course. So again, yeah, sunset 11 to 12. This is the number that I'm gonna use. He's also got some very simple and um, explained what is Sunny 16 and how you should do that. Yeah. So because this is not the like a detailed tutorial, so I'm not going to explain too much about it. Yeah. So I've also did something here. So this is something that I measure during one day. Yeah, that day I was bored. I don't know what to do, and uh, I was thinking maybe I can just do some measurement. So I
So,
got up.
so you were outside from 10 to 21 measuring.
Yeah. Actually, I just set the timer, and I got up at 10. So I just directly take my light meter outside, so I can just walk on the balcony because the area outside is pretty open. So I can just use my light meter and face into the sun, so you can have a nice um, direct sun value. And I will go downstairs, find where there's a shadow. It's still pretty open area, but the you can find somewhere with the under the shadow, which is the shadow can be casted from the building or tree or something. But make sure if you want to measure that value, you have to face the sky, so it can give you the number of the sky intensity. Also here I got this pretty rough like ratio, which is something you might want to take reference from. Yeah, so I just every 1 hour I just take the numbers, take the measures, and write down to this little sheet. Yeah, so it's pretty simple, but it's very useful. So when I start to um, set up my lighting, I can just take a look at that. Again, so this number can be very different from if you depends on which area you're on, and how is the air quality. Sometimes like in Shanghai or in Beijing, the air quality is not great enough. So maybe you can end up um, a very hazy sky. So the intensity can be pretty low as well. But here in UK, that day was pretty sunny, and the direct sunlight is pretty strong. And also, if you're under the shadow, the skylight is intensity is also pretty strong. Yeah. So if you like, you can just build your own library. Yeah, I think that's
No,
pretty
we don't need to. We have you.
okay. Yeah. So yeah,
Just a quick reminder for everyone: if you have any questions, you can leave a comment in the LinkedIn, and it will pop up. And if you're on YouTube, there should be a chat. If you're on Twitter, which is the first time, I think you need to just leave a reply or something. I have it open, so I have a look whenever someone is watching on Twitter and you have a question. I'll check the Twitter basically for questions. Sorry about that. Just so people know they can talk.
no worries. Yeah.
So where are we?
Yeah. So we're back on the scene. So the first thing I want to do is to set up the exposure, which is in here, exposure value. So as we said, like I would like to use the 12 as a fixed uh, exposure value. So make sure you have min EV100 and the max EV100 with 12, all set as 12. Also, I set exposure compensation as 0, so you don't so it doesn't mess up with the values. So yeah, so this is pretty simple. If you already have that, you can. This is the first step you wanna take a look at, and now it's the light intensity. How do we deal with the light intensity? So in here, I got this lighting validation layer here. So I got this simple object and this dude. Shall I come here? Yeah. So for example, this is the plane that has pure white texture on it. So it makes sure that when you measure the light intensity, it doesn't affect the actual number. Same as this ball. So how do we use them? So for this uh, plane, I just if you have already set the uh, the key light position, okay, that's good. So you can just put it under the shadow, for example, like this. Yeah, don't worry about if it's next to a building or something, because it doesn't have any like it's not baked. Uh, so the information right now is directly from the sun. So you can use the next thing you can use is the visualize and HDRI adaptation. So this is very good, very nice tool. If you look at the middle, so it can tell you how you can use the lux number here. So the skylight is like 27 2700 something. Um, so this is something that is reflected from the sky. For this thing, it's very simple. I'm just using this sky dome, and let me just show the yeah. So yeah, it's basically emissive shader. So you can just um, tweak the brightness until you have the value you want. So let's bring up the value here. So for example, maybe the dusk scene is around 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the night. So I want to make sure. I initially I was using this number 6,000, but it's too bright. it's way too bright and it's not very even close to my reference. So I was trying to dim down the sky, and 200 to 2700 is something that I like. um, the exposure value is pretty nice. The everything, the mood is there, and it's actually between, the value is between 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. So it's pretty, it's valid. It's within this range, so you can actually, you can absolutely use that number. And for the key light right now, it's 15,000. So you can use that. So the next thing you want to do is to tweak your sunlight, which is this one. So a lot of people, when they use the physical value, for me, for example, when I started, I just started to like enter the number from the wiki page or something, just directly inside here. But it's actually it's wrong. What you need to do is you need to borrow, you need to use this object, you need to measure that color, you need to measure that in intensity from the objects. So right now, this is the point. You can find the point where this is the hottest point. You can see the number. Maybe this is the hottest number. So that means this point is directly facing the sunlight. So you can take a look at the number. You can tweak the sunlight. You can tweak the intensity. Also, you can tweak the temperature. Remember, temperature could also affecting this number as well. For example, if you like, see, the number now is 3,000, and the intensity is actually getting lower. So remember, this is something might affecting your lighting. Yeah. So by adjusting these values, now you have a proper uh, um, key light intensity. So actually, for using an HDR sky, this is pretty inconvenient. So you can actually have a balanced with physical basically balanced lighting environment here. So just close that. So you can use that as a base, or you can use just take the numbers and from the sheet or from the website and see if that number works for you. Um,
Never works
Another
for me. Never works for me. Never.
okay.
I give it up.
All right, all right, okay. But this is actually how I made this scene.
So the plane you have used for the shadow, which is on
Yeah.
your Excel sheet, and your goal is to have the middle number that's in the measurement tool
Yes.
to be close to the time of day you've chosen,
Yeah.
and the sphere you're using to see if the middle number has the same intensity as
Yeah.
the number in the Excel sheet for that time of day, basically. So you
Yeah.
don't necessarily look at the lux. You use the other numbers when you do your lighting. Is that correct?
I'm still looking at the lux, but I'm not looking at this lux. I'm not looking at the sunlight intensity here. So I'm just focus on this number in the middle.
Right, and that's on your Excel sheet, right? The number you
Yes.
measured.
Yes. Yes. So you can see there the numbers can be a little bit different, but it's not gonna like very different. Like it's not like 100 miles away. No, it's not gonna like that. Or you can just try to use that ratio number if you already
Okay, okay.
yeah.
And when you're doing it in Unreal Engine and you're measuring, you don't pay attention to EV too much.
If I already have the EV set up, yeah, it's always there.
And
Yes.
did you have it set up in post process volume, max minimum EV or anything?
yes, that's the first thing I set up. So make sure this is 0. The exposure compensation is 0, and max and the min EV are set to 12. So it's fixed. It's a fixed number that is 12.
Okay.
So this for some, maybe you might ask, okay, well, what if I walking around the level? What if somewhere is uh, pretty dark and 12 is not gonna be useful? So I'm gonna explain that later, because this is the basic number you want to go for. And once this number is set, then you can have a little bit a tweak on the exposure value. Yeah.
Okay.
For example, like um, the mean value can be like a 10 or something, if you're hiding in the corner, or at a very dark place. So it can light up a little bit. Yeah. So we can talk about that later. So yeah. So this is the process if you have uh, an HDR sky. This is pretty simple. But if you're
Could,
using,
if you're using volumetric and other, would this still work, or would it be a different workflow?
it's gonna be different, especially you're using uh, what's it called? Sky
Actually,
atmosphere.
right.
Yeah, it's also called a physical sky or something. People have different saying about that. Yeah, so this is gonna be a little bit complicated, because every number, like every parameter you use, you tweak, is going to affect the numbers here. So, for example, I think I got a breakdown, but unfortunately, it's still in Chinese. Please bear with me. So, for example, as we know, it has a lot of parameters, but basically it's all about Rayleigh scattering and Mie scattering. So the Mealy scattering is Rayleigh scattering is controlling the overall sky color and the intensity as well, and the Mie scattering is controlling uh, the scattering around the sun. Yeah. So because me scattering is representing if there are large molecules in the sky, like it's like smoke, like clouds. So these are all about the me scattering, and Rayleigh scattering is about when the molecule is pretty small. Um, that is control, and the color wave is traveling through the sky, and eventually reach to your eyes. What color will be present? Yeah, this is something about that. You can see that a lot of settings in here. Every setting you tweak, it's gonna affect the intensity of the light. So when I do that, actually, this thing has been baked. So let me just let me think of a way to explain that. So uh, yeah, unfortunately, this number has been affected by the other light. For example, I got a key light, I got a field light here. So when the character goes through, it can affect that. So I can just turn it off. Yeah, maybe this is the number I want. So when you tweak those parameters, where is it? Okay, this is gonna break my lighting, but I'm not gonna save it. For example, I want to choose this number and maybe break it down. It's not affecting something, maybe because it's baked. But as I change it, can notice that this is something that is going to change the values here. That is going to affect the sunlight, but it's also going to affect the skylight, because this is already baked, so you cannot see anything. Maybe I can change something here. No. Mm, try something. Yeah, unfortunately, it's not gonna change the indirect lighting, but as you can see that this is affecting this area, which is, as I said, it's gonna affect the direct lighting um, and the indirect lighting. So when you change that, you need to make sure that uh, you need to pay attention to this
And
number.
and when you pick the relay and then my number, is that an artistic observation, or do you put in numbers you have researched and
Yes,
learned?
yes. This is both. So you might want to take a look at your
Reference?
reference, which is here. Yeah, I want to achieve something between this picture and this picture. So I want to still maintain the blue in the sky, but around the sun it's pretty warm. So you can just tweak that number. You can just tweak that number until you got what you desired, and then you can pay attention to the number. See if this number is very close to your reference. But there's something that I want to mention, that don't don't pay too much attention to the number, because if you set the proper value in this in the sunlight, and for example here I was using this number. This is actually the max number of the sunlight. Uh, so if your time of day changes, it's gonna change as well. Uh, for example, number right here is something like that. But if you change your direction, oh no, it's not gonna change. Okay, let me just, yeah. For example, if you pick that number, it's blown out, but it's definitely gonna change. So when you change that, you need to make sure that oh sorry. So if you have sky atmosphere here, that means it's still following the rules uh, of the physics. So the number won't be too far away. If you still want to tweak the number, it still makes sense. So don't try to pay attention to that number too much. If the number is like, for example, uh, 4,000 or something, or 3,000 or something, but if it's looking nice, that's fine. Because let me bring up the sheet again. It's still at the range of the number, like here. If you're making a dusk time of day,
Right. So, but if it's suddenly for some weird reason says
yeah,
21,500, which is 3 o'clock,
yeah,
then you're doing something wrong basically, because
yeah,
that's
yeah,
not. Okay.
exactly, yeah. So that's the beauty of the smart sky atmosphere. No matter what you do, if you already have a proper number set up here, this number can be referenced from, where's my browser again? For example, if you have a proper number from, yeah, from here, like brightest sunlight or something, a sunlight range here, you can just take the number here. You won't go far away. Yeah, you can still at the range, so you don't have to be too struggling with the number. Yeah, some people is struggling with the number, like okay, I'm trying to maintain the number around the 3,000. But how do I make the sunlight also stay in that range? Yeah, don't struggle with that. If your number is within the range, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a bit different from someone else we had interview with a couple of months because
Yeah,
here you're focusing on the lux, while some people they are putting in the exact, more or less the exact intensity in the
yeah.
sunlight from the website, and
Mm-hmm.
they're paying attention to the EV more than
Mm-hmm.
they are paying attention to the lux. But your workflow, the key difference that I've noticed is you paying more attention to the lux, not necessarily the EV.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is also the same process when I was working on Frostbite, because they always like focus on they always focus on the EV first. They set the EV first, then we just only need to focus on the intensity. They also have a very nice debug view, um, so you can see if this, for example, here is too bright or too low. You can always have a nice view of that. But yeah, I think people have different ways of doing lighting. Um, what matter is try to find the way that suits you
Yeah, that's why
most.
we have this. That's why we have these interviews and
Yeah,
topics, because it's different. People think it's the same thing. People think it's one way of doing things, but hopefully, people are understanding that there are many different small differences that can make more sense to someone
yeah.
like myself, who is constantly confused over EV and stuff. That this makes more sense to me. So
Hmm.
I'll probably try that after the interview, actually, because I'm actually doing a sunset scene as before the interview. So we'll see how that goes. So would you say EV and lux is connected, so if you change one the other one will change as well, or would you say it's fixed?
Sorry.
So if you change EV, lux would change too, and if you change lux,
No,
EV
no,
would change
no.
too? Is it connected at all, or we can just focus on one thing at a time?
No, it's completely two thing. So, for example, let me just focus on the plane. If I change the VEV here, uh, for example, I already have this number. Let's say, let's say 9. See, the number still maintains the same if I change.
This is why we're using the HDR adaption
Yeah,
visualizer to make sure that it actually has this correct numbers.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
okay.
basically EV is controlling the whole the brightness of the image, but um, the sunlight, the intensity is a different thing. So they're not connected. Um, yeah, they're not directly connected, but if your lighting change, for example, your light intensity changes, then maybe you can select another value or have a little bit range. For example, here I used the minimum number of 11.5, max number as a 12. So as I said, if you, for example, if you stay in here, maybe the value will be different, will be between the two. So the home image will not be will not be too dark. If you stay in the light, maybe the sun, maybe the image won't be blown out too much. Studio of that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And how do you deal with reflections? Do you place one big reflection, or do you place several specifically where you want them, or how is that?
that's a good question because I got tons of reflection here. I got one here, one here. I forgot. Maybe I don't have one here because that's directly taking the reflection information from the skylight. And of course, here's the one. But it's another thing is you will notice that I use box shape around here. I see a lot of people using sphere everywhere, but I don't think that's pretty accurate. Um, Also, it's gonna affecting the other area, so I would rather to use the box shape. Yeah, uh, same as well.
So
But
there's a specific question for you which I don't understand. But Desules is asking: Is Arthur responsible for lighting these beautiful environments at Stanton System?
yes,
Yes, he is.
yeah, yeah. I was working on different a lot of things in Stanton. Yeah. Yeah. So for this thing, I did use a lot of reflection probe, but in the actual game development, maybe they're not gonna allow you to use so many probes because it relates to the memory or a lot of things. Uh, for example, I was working on some console game. Maybe they only allow maybe like a 6 per scene. So that's when you need to really think about how you should deal uh, with the reflection thing. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Desules was a fellow backer, apparently. So how would you approach if you were to optimize this for game reason? What would you change and do differently to make sure it was optimized then?
For this thing, it's pretty because everything is baked. So I do have a little bit uh, dynamic lighting, for example, here. So I can directly jump into the game. So yeah, so when you work when you like walking on this path, you might. Oh, sorry, I closed. I turned off this light here. We turn it on. Okay, let's run again. So, for example, here, without this light, the character is basically like floating on the floor because it's under the shadow. So I was thinking maybe okay, I can have a light coming from this direction because this big wall is reflecting some light information on the floor. So it's casting some shadows here. It doesn't have to be too strong, but there's something there. But
Mm.
if you do not have a lot of budgets, maybe just remove that light. That doesn't hurt too much, but this is a nice little touch. So another thing here is I also got the lighting in this little room. So when you walk up in the room here, you can also have a little bit shadow. But basically, yeah, shadow is pretty uh, expensive. Um, what I want to do is maybe if it's too expensive, I'll just turn it off, or maybe I can use something. It's called. Let me see if I can find it. I haven't used Unreal for a while. Yeah, you can use this max draw distance and a max distance fade range. So that means at this range, it's gonna disappear. That means this light no longer works. So that means it's turned off. So it's if you're not in this room, maybe it's already turned off. That's very good for your performance. And this fade range gives you a little bit fade out effect, so it doesn't just popped off. So it gives you a little bit like radiant kind of feeling. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's a little bit trick. So most important stuff, most expensive stuff is always on the real time lighting. So I was trying to keep a lot of things in static. I think that's a lot of games do. For example, these are just some few light for me to bake.
Have you had the time to explore ray tracing inside Unreal Engine, or even Unreal Engine 5 for that matter?
I did had an opportunity to explore um, the Lumen in Unreal Engine 5, but I I only have a 1080p graphic card. I'm a poor guy, so I can only use this. But yeah, I would like to explore the real time GI. That's pretty good.
Um, yeah, I haven't done much myself. I'm doing a little bit RTX today and tomorrow just to get used to it.
Okay.
Um, So, if you were to give any advice for someone who is new or even junior for that matter, or a student, what are the 3 to 5 things you would say is important for lighting artists to understand and master to be, a good lighting artist compared to, say, a environment artist who's doing lighting or
Hmm.
someone else that is just dabbling?
Yeah. The first thing I want to mention is the direction of the light. Whatever you put the light, it's um how to say, don't do this. Don't do like, okay, your camera is here and your light is behind your character, behind your camera, so it's making everything flat. If you don't know how to put the light, just don't do that. Put it on the side, put it on the back. I think that's the most important thing. uh,
So,
for
don't be afraid of shadows.
Don't be afraid of shadows. It's always good to have shadows, especially something like this. And another thing is, if the game has a very awesome environment, try to give more light where there's complex details going on. For example, here, I think this is a very nice, very nice details and structures. A lot of things are going on here. We got vegetation, we got pipes, we got wood. This is really nice. So when you're working on the light, maybe try think about, maybe should I have more lighting here, or should I give more silhouette to the scene? Like, for example, this thing has a lot of is sticking out or extrude in, so that's maybe think about, maybe how to use light to represent uh, those stuff. If you don't know how to present, maybe just simply try to experiment with the spotlight, or even a point light. Just put it there and move around and see how it looks like. Uh, you'll find the answer. Yeah, in the
You'll
end.
find the answer indeed.
Yeah, yeah.
I
What
mean,
else?
it's pretty. It's, I mean, what you've shown so far is pretty straightforward, but also pretty not straightforward for a lot of people. Even though it's very basic, right? It
Yeah,
takes
yeah,
some understanding. It takes
yeah,
some practice to get it right.
yeah.
Which is, I guess, which is probably what's the difference between a lighting artist and someone who's just dabbling inside Unreal Engine. Is a lighting artist knows the fundamentals and the basic stuff. But
Hmm.
what other advice would you give as well on top of this? To students or even senior lighting artists or whatever, based on your experience so far, that you wish someone had told you?
Um, Actually, maybe just try to, maybe not only take a look at the art station, maybe try to find reference from Pinterest, or from your favorite DP. Watch the movie and take a lot of reference. And what I do is, sometimes maybe I just, for example, I really love this MV here, so maybe just take some time take some screenshots, put them all together, and maybe if you have time, extract the colors here and really study how they present the scene, how these colors are working together. Yeah, I think that's pretty important for me. For example, I'm being really like digging Emmanuel Lubezki's lighting and his camera work. It's not only lighting; it's always connecting to the camera. So the composition is really important. So yeah, maybe starting your work, maybe think about the composition first, then maybe add the lighting. Uh, yeah. So what do you want to present most? Maybe put that in the middle or in the 1/3 position of your camera, and maybe do some lighting later. Yeah. Especially for environment, I see a lot of people that is doing um, environment work. It's very hard to find a point of interest in a scene, not like character, because character is always something that you want to focus most. So I think it's a little bit easier uh, to make a character lighting or something for me. But yeah, as I said, if you take a look at the environment, because there are details everywhere, you have to really find what you want to focus on first. So you really want to like play with the composition first, then think about the lighting.
All right.
Or you can do vice versa. Yeah, everybody finds his way. Yeah.
So we are over the 1 hour mark, and this is just a reminder for people that Lightingbot also has a website at lightingbot.com. We also do portfolio review if you join Discord. We also do lighting showreel community highlights if enough people are contributing. That is, we also have Unreal Lighting course, and we also have Unity lighting course that we are building currently slowly over time. So there's enough content for you guys out there, so do stay tuned and hang out, join Discord, and hopefully we can get Arthor back. I think this was a very useful stream, so let's thank you, Arthor, for his time and his knowledge and experience. I definitely learned a different way of doing this type of lighting, because I've been using mostly the Lux and EV approach. So I would definitely be looking more into the lighting meter numbers a bit more and see if I can understand that more. So thank you very much, Arthur, for your time. And
Thank you.
everyone, please leave some positive comments and likes and shares, so we can also help promote Arthur as well. And please take the time to follow him on our station. I saw a couple of names pop up during the stream, so I know a couple of you are already doing it. So we definitely appreciate that. So we're going to end the stream, and I just want to say goodbye to everyone. I will be talking to Arthur a little bit in private before I let him go, obviously. But for the rest of you, thank you for watching. It's been really good. And Arthur, do you have any final words you would like to say?
Now, final words, but yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a very nice opportunity to share something to everyone, especially the one who wants to be lighting artist. Yeah, uh, yeah. Feel free to leave any comments or questions if you have anyone in the Discord or something. I would like to. I'll more than happy to answer for you. Yeah.
Cool. We
So
have a
thank you
lot
for
of
your
thank
time.
you. Thank you from Ellen. Thank you for Deslas. Thank you from Elix. Thank you for watching. See you next time. And let's wave goodbye for the viewers. Bye bye.